駆け抜け青春スパーキング。ねえ、明日の夏祭り、何時にどこ集合にする？みんなの都合はどうなのかな？
We hung out together in the staff room following our shifts. I didn't say much more than an occasional yep or uh-huh to show that I was listening.
青春部は当然全員参加 OK よ。
Right, because the biggest indication that someone is listening is saying yep and uh-huh. Definitely.
あとは集合場所と時間だけね。お兄ちゃん、集合場所は駅とかでいいんじゃない？
I mean, I say that like I don't know that is a common thing in Japanese. that you indicate that you're listening by saying something. Saying I don't even know what you'd call it, right? Those types of words where you're like, uh-huh, yep, yep, and you're nodding your head along, right? You know, what words would you call that? What kind of word would you call that? Those words. Sure.
海岸沿いの道にも屋台が並ぶから、屋台を楽しみながら神社に行けるよ。
Uh-huh.
気のない返事に響きチョップ!
I mean, like, in this context, it's not really the same thing, right? Ow! What the heck? I glared at Hibiki while I rubbed the shoulder she had karate chopped.
友達と妹の話、聞き流してんじゃないわよ。あんた、今日はずーっとぼーっとしてるわね。何かあったの？
Definitely nothing to do with my sister's panties or anything. Well, something did. But there was no way I could tell her that. Especially when the person it entailed, Ritsu, was right in front of us. If I said anything, my sister would likely become a nun.
もしかしてお兄ちゃん、昨日のことまだ気にしてる？
Thank God Ritsu brought it up. Ritsu timidly asked me. I was trying to be evasive. I could have denied it right away, but wasn't able to. Even though I had mastered mind reading and had much greater mental control than most people, Ritsu was the one person I couldn't lie to.
昨日のことって何よ？
Don't worry about it, Hibiki, you say through gritted teeth.
何かあったの？あんたたち。
Ritsu was desperate to laugh this all away. She was too transparent.
リーツ、なんで邪魔するのよ？邪魔してなんかないですよ。
Her eyes were swimming.
怪しいわ。あんたたち、私に何か隠してるわね。
Hibiki pointed her finger at us.
なぜそれを？
Ritsu's eyes widened with astonishment. Ritsu, you're being too obvious. At least, if you're not gonna learn magic, at least pick up something from it. It's obviously your fault, Ritsu. You're like an open book. Unlike myself, my sister couldn't put on a poker face if her life depended on it. She was honest at heart.
何があったか話しなさい。
It's not my place to say anything. I crossed my arms to say I'm not telling.
じゃあ、リツでもいいわ。私の口からだって言えないよ。濡れたパンツを落としたのをお兄ちゃんに見られたなんてとても。
Ritsu. You know, out of the things she did last night, exposing that she dropped her panties in front of you is one of the more tame things she did. At least she didn't say, I could never ever say I masturbated on my Oni-chan's bed. Alright? At least she didn't say that. but she still exposed herself. Ritsu, you're saying it. You're telling her everything. There were limits to how honest a person could be. Ritsu is the definition of honest to a fault. Alright? I've never seen a character that embodies that phrase as much as Ritsu. My sister was overwhelmed.
してない。全然誘導してないから。
Hibiki simply shook her head, appearing exasperated. I mean, she's not wrong. But, well, these things happen when you live together. Hibiki, don't let it bother you too much. I tried to bring the situation back under control somehow.
まあ、いいわ。
Hibiki said, not looking even remotely convinced.
リツがおもらししちゃったのは秘密にしといてあげる。響ちゃん、それ誤解だよ。
Oh? I was hanging out in my bedroom after dinner when my phone rang. It still smells like Ritsu in here. Checking the screen, it read, Ohinata Hibiki. What's up, Hibiki?
ユウ、ちょっと顔を貸してよ。
She got straight to the point. Is it something we can't discuss over the phone?
直接、あんたの顔を見て話したいの。
Uh-huh. I could tell from the tone in her voice. Whatever she had to say was serious. Got it. I'll be right over.
そっちって、場所わかってるの？
I'd assumed you're at the beach. I can hear the waves in the background. Of course. Of course she's at the beach. She can't ever be in her own goddamn house. Like, what the fuck, man? I get that there's no fucking... I get that they didn't make a fucking background for her house. But, first of all, why not? Since it's the only one that doesn't have a unique background. Well, I guess Ritsu, technically. But, you know, that makes perfect sense because it's Yu's house. But you would expect the main girl in the game, the poster girl, the icon of the game, to have a background of their fucking room. This isn't a criticism of Ritsu's route specifically. It's a criticism of how the artist spent their resources. Right? Like, why don't they have a background for Ritsu, for Hibiki's house?
じゃあ、待ってるから。
Oh, yeah, I can hear the waves in the background. I said that. Yeah.
リツには内緒で来るのよ。
Obviously. I could more or less surmise what Hibiki wanted to talk about.
なるべく早くね。
That was the last thing Hibiki said before she ended the call. Hibiki's voice and the sound of the waves vanished in unison. Now then. I stood up with my phone in hand. Thanks to Hibiki's stellar intuition, she had likely noticed how I had been feeling. That had to be what this was about. I didn't want to lie to Hibiki. I doubted I had any choice, but to be honest with her. But, you know, I'm not sure what to tell her or how. I was still confused myself. It really is dark, Hibiki. This isn't somewhere a girl should be on her own.
平気よ。変なのが来たら自転車で引いちゃうから。
She patted the seat of the bike beside her with a smile. You're going to run them over, not run away.
攻撃は最大の防御って言うでしょ?
I mean, sure, but would riding over them with the bike really take him out. Try not to get so far that you can't actually claim self-defense. That had become my bigger concern.
それより、早速本題だけど。あんた、リツと何があったのよ。妹がおもらししたのが、そんなにショックだったの？
That's seriously a misunderstanding. Shut down that possibility for the sake of maintaining my honor. Her honor.
じゃあ何よ、あの微妙な空気は。あんた、リツの下着なんて洗濯の時にいくらでも見てるでしょ？今更よ。
Hibiki's face turned toward me, illuminated in the moonlight. Her huge eyes were fixated on me. Mind if I say something important first?
何よ。
Could you promise not to tell anyone what I'm about to say? I looked straight back at her. Otherwise, I can't tell you. Hibiki thought it over briefly.
いいわ。誰にも言わないわ。
She said that with a decisive tone. Listen, all I'm saying is, they had that conversation with Misaki. With Nagomi, alright? So, I don't think talking about this in a public area is a very good idea. I was trying to think of another word to say, but yeah, it's not a good idea. Just be sure no texting either.
当然でしょ？
Also, I guess no letters either.
わかってるわよ。どんだけ疑り深いのよ、あんたは。
My enraged childhood friend chopped her hands at me over and over again. That's just how sensitive of a subject this is. I shouted out as I dodged her karate chops.
もしかして、リツに告白でもされたわけ？
I mean, she's not wrong, but it's the way that Ritsu confessed is the concerning part. Ritsu, Hibiki ceased her attack to pose that question. Not directly.
間接的にされたってこと？
Yeah, more or less. I happened to hear her say it herself in my bedroom. I was honest and tried to avoid bringing up what actually happened that night.
一応言うけど、あの子のお兄ちゃん大好きアピールはブラコンだからよ。恋愛感情とは、多分違うわ。
I thought the same thing. No, but I guess it would be right. It would be right to try and assume as much. I wanted us to keep being close siblings. We had to keep being that way. That desire was what had made me avert my eyes from the truth. I had realized that yesterday.
なんか引っかかる言い方ね。リツはどんな風に言ってたのよ。詳細かつ具体的に説明しなさい。
Hibiki was trying to fish for information that I wasn't ready to share yet. Do I really have to tell you?
言ってくれないと判断できないじゃない。
In detail?
そう。
And I have to be specific?
そうよ。
Even if it means Ritsu will become a nun?
一体何があったのよ。
I guess that was a reasonable question. I sighed. It appeared I had no choice. I'd better explain this directly.
リツがあんたで何よ
I meant delicately. But I'm glad they censored the word. Even though this is a very serious topic, they're putting a comedic spin on it. You don't have to be so direct, Hibiki. Especially, you also don't have to be so loud, you know, especially because of the stuff that Nagomi talked about. So much for being careful.
それは単なるブラコンの領域を超えてるわね。
Right? No matter how much you loved someone, you wouldn't look at another family member that way. Ritsu's affection for me was that for the opposite sex.
それで、ユウはリツの気持ちをはっきり知ってしまったのね。
Exactly.
リツ、なんて体裁の悪いバレ方なのよ。
That's what you're concerned about? This time, Hibiki was the one to sigh. Don't say that. Don't you feel a little sorry for Ritsu? If she heard this, Ritsu would undoubtedly join the priesthood.
ユウが昼間、ぼーっとしてたのはそのせいなのね。
Yeah, I've been trying to think of what to do next. I couldn't help but whine about it. All I could do was rely on my childhood friend.
その前に、あんたはどうしたいのよ。それがわかんないと、アドバイスのしようがないわ。リツの気持ちは、はっきりしたのよ。次は、そろそろあんたがはっきりさせる番じゃない？
Hibiki said about time. She was saying that like I was holding back up until now. Did that mean she had seen right through my indecisiveness? I'm Ritsu's big brother.
うん、そうよね。
I know what I should do as her brother. I needed to pretend like I didn't see anything and treat her like I always have. If by any chance Ritsu tries to cross a line, then I'll have to stop her. The public wouldn't take kindly to Ritsu dating her brother, and I can't stand the idea of her being crucified because of me. In that instant, a strong breeze blew in from the ocean. My and Hibiki's hair floated in the headwind. Both of us fell silent for a while.
そうね。
The breeze calmed before long, and Hibiki began to speak.
至極真っ当な判断だと思うわ。あんたとリツは血は繋がってないけど、そんなことなんて関係なく、誹謗中傷はあるでしょうね。
Listen, I mean, I probably shouldn't make this a comedic thing, because considering how serious of a topic they're making it out to be, but like, you know, they started it by censoring the word masturbated. Alright, so, you know what, I'm just gonna say it. If they move to Alabama, I'm sure it'll be fine. Her words hit me squarely in the heart. I cast my gaze onto the murky sea.
でも、私が聞きたいのは、そんな一般論じゃないのよ。
Huh? I turned my attention toward Hibiki.
私は、あんたはどうしたいのかって聞いたのよ。当の優という男の子として、どうしたいかってこと。兄として、じゃなくて、あんたは、兄である前に、当の優でしょ？
I was feeling a little lost. I hesitated to put anything into words. Once it was said out loud, then there was no going back. There was no possible way I could give a half-hearted answer now that my childhood friend of 10 years had said all of this to me. What I said before wasn't untrue.
わかってるわよ。あんたは今まで立派に兄貴してたわ。
But recently
言いなさいよ。ここまで言ったんだから。
You'll think less of me if I say it.
私が引くわけないでしょ。言いなさいよ。最近、どうしたの？
I don't think I see Ritsu as just a little sister anymore.
うわ、キモ。
Why do you think he wasn't trying to, why do you think he didn't want to fucking say it? Don't prove him right. Don't prove him right with your instinctual reaction. You just said you wouldn't be grossed out. Heartless. She tricked me.
冗談よ。
Could you not do that right now? I was on the verge of tears.
でも、それってやばくない？お互い気になる若い男女が、一つ屋根の下。兄は妹を思って、悶々としてるし、妹は兄を思って、オナよ。
Could you try to be a bit more delicate about this for my sake, and for Ritsu's as well?
ピーヨン入ってるじゃん。
Once again, we're breaking the fourth wall a lot this recording session. This just makes it more graphic. This girl seriously stepped as close to the line as she could, get, without crossing it again.
つまり、あんたは兄としての気持ちと、男としての気持ちで揺れてるのね。
Yeah, I guess so. Hibiki's remark really put my current situation into perspective. I finally realized that I was caught between two different roles. My childhood friend had clearly noticed it, though. I'm so lame.
そんなことないわ。あんたは今まで立派に律を守ってきたじゃない。いいお兄ちゃん、してきたじゃない。
You might lose everything if you continue down this path, though. Because I was seeing my sister as a member of the opposite sex.
一つ提案があるわ。あんたがいいお兄ちゃんのままでいられてかつ、もやもやを消す方法。
What's that?
今、この場で海に飛び込むのよ。
With the context of Hibiki's route, probably not the most appropriate thing to say in this situation. Hibiki pointed her finger at the surface of the pitch black sea. Are you telling me to go drown?
そうすれば、律の中であんたは永遠にいいお兄ちゃんのままよ。
Vetoed. This was a bad ending, no matter how you sliced it.
冗談よ。
Like I said, now isn't the time for that. She censored the word masturbating, alright? I was indignant. Maybe it had been a mistake to ask her for advice in the first place.
ここからが本当の提案よ。あんた、今すぐ彼女を作れば？
Huh? I couldn't help but shout by... I couldn't help but shout by how random her suggestion was.
他の子を好きになれば、あんたはまた律を妹として見られるし、律も兄に彼女ができたら諦めると思うの。
I mean, that's what she did in the other routes, so she's not wrong. You make it sound so easy. It's not something that can just magically happen.
そう？あんたなら割とすぐにできそうだけど。
Enough with the flattery.
あんた、自己評価低いのね。神楽坂の悪影響かしら。
Hibiki stared straight into my eyes. Her gaze was as imposing as it ever was. Looking into those eyes was dangerous. Yeah, those eyes were dangerous. These eyes was dangerous. Looking into those eyes was dangerous. It felt like I would do anything she told me to do. Besides, my heart is leaning toward Ritsu at the moment. It would be rude to approach another girl while I feel that way.
真面目ね。
Hibiki giggled, then sighed again.
だったら、それでもいいから。私と付き合ってよ。
No, I'm good. What? I asked for clarification in frozen place, unsure of what she meant.
だから、私と付き合ってみればって。
Oh, wait, hold on a second. What was she talking about?
私は全部知ってるんだし、律のことを承知で付き合ってあげる。それなら、よくない？
No, it won't, especially since you already have a route. I immediately rejected Hibiki's suggestion.
なんでよ。私じゃ不満だっての？言うのくせに生意気ね。
I mean, you may not be last on the list, but you sure as hell ain't first. Hibiki pouted. It's not about being dissatisfied with you.
じゃあ、お試しでいいから付き合ってみてよ。なんなら、チューしてあげてもいいけど。
Hibiki leaned in close and grabbed my arm. She brought her face close to mine. I could smell her hair. She was so close, I could feel her breath against me. You should value yourself more highly. I shook her hand away.
陳腐なセリフね。
I can't help it when that's how I really feel. Go date someone you actually like. You should spend your youth with someone you genuinely have feelings for. Don't you have a right to experience your youth and find happiness without anyone interfering? No matter what happens, you have to create your own happiness. I looked straight at Hibiki. She gazed at my face for a short while. I stared right back at her. Then finally, Hibiki.
あんたの答え、出たわね。
smiled with satisfaction. Huh?
本当に好きな人と付き合わないとダメだって。自分自身の幸せを求めなきゃダメだってあんたは言ったのよ。それは、律も一緒でしょ？もちろん、あんたもね。
With a smile, Hibiki poked at my cheek. Does that mean you have feelings for me?
その先は言わなくていいわ。あとはあんたと律の問題よ。
Hibiki literally waved me off with her right hand. I was speechless. What's most important is what's going on between you and Ritsu. Those words weighed heavily on my heart.
そんな顔しないの。大丈夫よ。きっとうまくいくから。
How can you be so sure about that?
私の幼馴染は、絶対女の子を泣かせたりしないわ。ずっとそうだったって知ってるもん。頑張って。
Hibiki cheered me on with a smile from beginning to end. Thank you, Hibiki.
どういたしまして。
She shrugged her shoulders.
話は終わりね。私はもう少し海風に当たっていくから。あんたはもう帰れば。
It's getting late. I'll walk you home.
ダメよ。この後もう一人会う人がいるの。
Who? Huh? Who? This late at night?
無粋なことを聞かないの。
Is it Nagomi?
ほら、早く早く。
Hibiki shoved me on the back. I reluctantly made my way home. Are you sure you'll be alright? I turned back to pose that question to her.
しつこいわね。大丈夫だってば。ナギに護身術だって習ってるし気にしないで。
I mean, I know you haven't heard me talk about this before, but like I said, martial arts isn't gonna do shit to someone with a knife. Got it. I'll see you tomorrow.
ええ、おやすみゆう。
We waved each other off.
さて、もう出てきていいわよ。
Ah,
ちゃん。
it's Ritsu. I mean, it wouldn't make that much sense if it was Nagomi, but very interesting. So Ritsu was contacted first, right? And then she talked about you, and then Hibiki decided to talk to you after, right? Is that what happened?
あんた、やっぱりゆうに気持ちバレてたわね。超かっこ悪い形で。それは忘れて、響ちゃん。無理でしょう。インパクトが大きすぎるわ。明日から心の中でオナコって呼ぶかも。
Bean flicker. Listen, Hibiki, all I'm gonna say is, you did it first. And when I say you did it first, I'm referring to the fact that I went through her route first.
出家したい。嘘。でも、よかったじゃない。ユウもリツのこと、好きって分かったし。両思いよ。
そうだけど。お兄ちゃん、まだ迷ってるっぽいし。
あんたから予売するとか。
無理だよ、恥ずかしいよ。
Is it as embarrassing as masturbating in your brother's bed and trying to change his bed sheets because you dirtied them so much, and then walking into the kitchen to see that your brother was finished showering, and then dropping your panties that were used and still wet in front of him? Is it as embarrassing as that sequence?
今さら、オナコに恥ずかしいことなんて何もないと思うけど。
Even Hibiki agrees with me.
オナコって
はい。じゃあもう帰りましょう。自転車で送っていくわ。
ねえ、響ちゃん。
何？
あの時、お兄ちゃんが拒まなかったら、キスしてた？
内緒。
The answer is yes, but there's already enough drama in this route. We don't need to add more of it by turning it into a love triangle, alright?
Kakenuke 青春スパーキングランチセットオーダー入りました
I'm really loving this route. This is already my favorite route. Alright? Already my favorite route, even before the confession. And to be fair, they could drop the ball hard on the confession, like they have with other routes. Right? Other routes have gotten way worse after the confession. Case in point, Nagiko, and Hibiki's route. But there were routes that got better after the confession. Case in point, Riri. And a little of Shiori, but Shiori's was good throughout. Riri's was good and got better. Ritsu's has been amazing. For all of the things that I wanted in this route. Now, there is a very, very, very obvious conflict here, right? After they become boyfriend and girlfriend. And because of how they have pointed to it as a pointed to it, not the right word, but how they've highlighted it, I guess, as a point of interest to focus on. Unlike with Nagiko's dad, I highly doubt, I'll eat my words if this is wrong, but I highly doubt that they will completely avoid the conflict between the Tono family and the Misaki family. Right? And I am really looking forward to that. I'm gonna feel very bad for Ritsu and you, but I'm really looking forward to the drama between the Misaki family and the Tono family.
お二人様禁煙席にご案内いたします
10 days have passed since Ritsu and Hibiki started working at the restaurant.
こちら700円のお返しになりますありがとうございました
Ritsu was finally competent at this point and actively Ritsu was fully competent at this point and actively working out on the floor. Ritsu was fully competent at this point and actively working out on the floor. Okay, no, that works.
見ろよ。あの子めちゃめちゃ可愛くね。ああ、マジでアイドル並みだぜ。
I swear to... Okay, so we've established, right, that you increases sales by a very noticeable amount. It would be really funny if Ritsu also increased sales by a very noticeable amount.
後で声かけてみね。
There were even customers who had their eyes on Ritsu. As chief, I would have to watch out for that going forward.
遠野くん、どうしたの？怖い顔して。
Huh? I hadn't realized the manager had snuck up behind me. When did you get here? I hadn't noticed.
こう見えても僕は遠野くん以上に接客のプロだよ。足音も気配も完全に消してフロアを歩くなんて造作もないよ。
You don't have to be quiet about it. It wasn't like he was a ninja. Yeah, he's a pirate. And we all know that pirates and ninjas are constantly fighting each other, so he can't be both.
さっきからずーっとりっちゃんばかり見てるね。
How did it even get to that point, by the way? Right? Who thought up pirates versus ninjas? And everyone just collectively thought, yeah, that makes sense. No, not just Ritsu. I'm watching the entire floor.
さすがの遠野くんも 妹さんがナンパされないか心配かい？
Like I said, I worry about all of our stuff, not just Ritsu.
今さら隠さなくてもいいって。もう遠野くんがシスコン、とっても妹思いなのはみんな知ってるから。
If he was my manager and he called me a siscon, I wouldn't go to HR. I would consider it though. The former is what you actually think of the former is what you actually think about me. Hearing him correct himself just made it even more painful.
いやいや、兄弟の仲がいいのはいいことだよ。今は親が子供を虐待したりするじゃない？
You don't know the half of it.
家族は大切にしないとね。
My manager nodded along as he spoke. Treasure family, huh? When I heard what he'd said, the woman who had abandoned me so long ago crossed my mind. It was the same woman who cast me, my stepfather, and Ritsu aside. She was a scummy woman who abandoned her family.
遠野くん、本当にどうしたの？ますます顔が怖くなってきてるんだけど。
Oh no. What was I doing in the middle of work? I needed to smile. No matter what was going on at the moment, I had to smile. I smacked both my cheeks with a hard pop to psych myself back up. Alright, I finished switching gears. That just so happened to be when a guest called for us.
少々お待ちください。
Surely it's not Nagomi, right? That would be too convenient. Ritsu was busy putting away tableware when she rushed over. It's okay, Ritsu. I'll go. Dear customer, I'll be with you in just a moment. I slapped on the best and brightest smile I could muster, then headed out onto the sales floor. My aura was so refreshing, it gave off negative ions. Unfortunately, the word aura has been ruined by the internet in current months. Yeah. This was me in full-blown customer service mode.
眩しい。お兄ちゃん、笑顔が眩しいよ。
遠野くんって、たまに少女漫画の登場人物みたいになるよね。
No, he's the protagonist of an eroge. Alright, it's completely different. With their voices at my back, I headed for the customer's seat with a magnificent yet smooth stride. And there I met.
先輩、チワッス。
Okay, it's not Nagomi. But they were putting too much emphasis on the customer for it to not be someone we knew. Now, I'm very iffy on Kicker in this route because of the interaction she had with Nagomi at the end of the common route, right? I mean, unfortunately, I don't remember everything that was said, but it was in said interaction where Nagomi, I guess, shows to the audience that she let you win, right? Hijiri had a glass in hand. Oh, it's you. My facial muscles immediately relaxed.
ちょ、先輩、キラキラの笑顔はどうしたんすか？
Only in your route. And only in the bedroom. What? I don't need to waste it on you, do I?
いいです。今は自分客っすよ。このドリンクバー専用グラスを見るっす。
Hijiri held a glass up high.
ちなみに、ドリンクバーだけでも3時間粘っているっす。320円ぽっきりで何時間もダラダラできて、この店最高っすね。
No. See, Sure, on the surface it might be a steal, but it's just a waste of time. What is a real steal is spending that money in a coffee shop that has free Wi-Fi. Alright? Even if it's shit, free Wi-Fi is still free Wi-Fi. Even though it's technically not free because you would have had to spend on the coffee. Hijiri glugged down the contents of her glass.
まずいっす。もう一杯。
What era is that joke from? Was it vegetable juice?
先輩、実はちょっと気になることがありまして。
Oh, what's that?
最近、先輩とリツさんの青春カウントの変動が半端ないっす。
You're keeping count.
だから、様子を見に来たっす。
Youth count. A mysterious value that only Hijiri apparently could see. She had brought it up a few times since we first met, but I didn't quite understand what she was going on about. If I recall, that count is something that fluctuates when you enjoy your youth.
そうっす。
I didn't sneeze. I assume it's because Ritsu and I are active in the youth collective.
この変動は、そんな生優しいもんじゃないっすよ。このまま行くと、先輩とリツさん、この夏で青春振り切れるっす。
Huh? I was finally getting the chance to enjoy my youth, and it already had an expiration date.
だから、そんなに急いで駆け抜けなくてもいいんじゃないですかね。自分まだまだ、みんなで青春していたいんで。
I get it. Don't worry. You'll get to enjoy your youth with you a lot more in your route. I tossed in the usual response to Hijiri's warnings. I mean, not that I believed in this whole youth count deal anyway.
では、自分はこの辺で。
Hijiri grabbed the bell and stood up. Oh, going back to the club room?
行くっす。花火大会の準備を自分たち手伝うんで。
I see. Sorry that we can't help. That's the confession. That's when the confession scene's gonna happen, right?
バイトだから仕方ないっす。失礼するっす。
Hijiri settled her bill, then jogged out of the restaurant. On her way out, Hijiri passed by a female customer who had entered the restaurant.
あら
Ah. So it. God damn it. So. I was just a bit early in my prediction, alright? She showed up eventually, so I'm technically right. Nagomi followed Hijiri's line of sight as she made her way through the glass door. Welcome.
ゆうくん、今の子知ってるわよね。
She's an underclassman in the youth collective.
後輩？そうよね。
So this is why she's sus. Kika. Because Nagomi and Kika have a weird relationship where she clearly knows more about Kika than everyone else in this game, including the audience, and we're only going to find out about it in her route because it wouldn't really make that much sense to have that kind of information in Ritsu's route. All right. I shouldn't be meta with this because, you know, why is it that Kika is supposedly so important that you have to play through every main girl's route before you do Kika's? And I'm kind of forced to think of it in like a mystery game aspect, where you're only allowed to do certain things until you've seen certain events, right? Kind of like, well, I hate that I'm bringing up 999. I hate that I'm bringing up Virtue's the Zero Escape series, right? Because I brought it up too many times in 9-9, but the example just works, alright? It just works. Where you don't experience the full story until you've played through it a few times. Right? So, who is Kika? And what is her connection to Nagomi? Like, is Kika part of the Masaki family? Is she a lot older than she lets on? Well, maybe not a lot, but definitely older than she lets on. Alright? Could she be a third year at Kazumi Academy? Well, I don't know. I'm getting. I'm thinking too much into it at not the right time. Nagomi muttered under her breath, then let out a long exhale.
当たり前よね。ダメだわ、最近疲れてるみたい。
It's clearly not something that you're meant to have pieced together now. I mean, maybe now if you're playing through Kika's route, right? Around the same time as in Kika's route, but this is not her route. Are you alright?
気にしないで。もう平気よ。
Alright. I'll show you to your seat.
ええ。それから少しでいいから話せるかしら。
I have a break in half an hour. Would you mind waiting around until then?
もちろん待つわ。お願いね。
はあ？あんたたち今日の花火大会来られないの？
Well, shit. Looks like... See, my one prediction was was too early, and another prediction has just been has been outright debunked immediately. It was 6 p.m. by the time we got out of work. Hibiki finished getting changed, heard what Ritsu and I had to say, and went wide-eyed.
青春部全員でたまやーってやるつもりだったのに。
I already did that.
ごめんね、響ちゃん。
Sorry, something legitimately urgent came up. Ritsu and I both put our hands together apologetically.
マジの休養って何よ。
Nagomi is going to come over tonight.
私たちの今後のことで大事な話があるんだって。
It's family related, so we can't get out of it. I wanted to enjoy my youth, but we needed stability in our lives first to make that a reality, and that's why he took the money. Ritsu and I had to preserve our current lifestyles.
わかったわ。私も行く。
A lifestyle. What? My brain wasn't working fast enough to keep up with Hibiki, who changed her plans right then and there. I mean, she was there the first time they talked with Nagomi, so it only makes sense. No, this is our problem. You go have fun with everyone else.
響ちゃん、浴衣を着て縁日を回るんだって楽しみにしてたよね。
Didn't you just buy a new yukata for it? Go enjoy yourself. Don't worry, Hibiki already experienced it in her route. And the best part about it, for her at least, not for me, that, he got to not only start dating you, but also fucked. And then told everyone in the youth collective about it, which made me despise her. So, we tried to persuade Hibiki.
何言ってるのよ、あんたたち。縁日や浴衣より友達優先に決まってるでしょ？
But...
縁日なんて来年でも再来年でも行けるの？
Well, yeah.
浴衣だって秋でも冬でも着れるのよ。
No. Hang on a minute. You don't think that's weird? I mean, I guess she can. They do look similar. That's why they're mistaken for kimonos. But there's a reason why there's a difference. because one is designed with thinner material, is designed with a more breathable material, so that you aren't sweating like a fucking sauna inside of it during summer festivals. And a kimono is meant to make sure that the heat stays inside of the kimono so that you aren't freezing to death during winter festivals.
なごみさんも
I didn't read
私
that.
たちの味方だし大丈夫だよ。
She was just asking to catch a cold if she wore one then.
でも、親族の人たちは敵じゃん。あんたたちのこと調べてるって人もいるんでしょ？ユウに財産を放棄させるために嫌がらせしてくるかもしれないんでしょ？今度こそ、そいつの名前と住所を聞き出して、ぶっ飛ばしに！
I mean, it's funny that you and Ritsu inheriting the Misaki name makes it makes it impossible for anyone else in the Misaki family to deny their inheritance. Right? I'm trying to think back to that comment, right? And I mean, like, yeah, thinking back on the comment, why is the Misaki family so hell-bent on trying to prevent you from inheriting the name? Right? Because the grandfather didn't write a will, so the grandchildren shouldn't be eligible for the inheritance. Or at least that's what the comment's stating. So, I don't know. You definitely don't need to come. I did my best to keep Hibiki's reckless behavior at bay.
お兄ちゃん、なごみさん今日うちで晩ご飯食べていくのかな？
I wonder. I'm sure she will if you invite her. We somehow managed to talk Hibiki down and Ritsu and I headed along the path home together.
じゃあおかず足りないかも。お兄ちゃん、商店街に寄っていこうよ。
You got it. I responded to Ritsu as cheerfully as possible. That was all I had left in me. When I thought about the conversation we were about to have, I was overcome with melancholy, and I'm overcome with excitement, and also a bit of dread. I'm excited because we get more of you, we get more drama, and I'm dreading it because I don't want to see Ritsu sad.
ねえ、お兄ちゃん。なごみさんの話、どんなことか聞いてるの？もしかして、あんまり良くないこと？
Why do you think that?
だって、お兄ちゃん元気ないから。
Huh? How could you tell? Had she seen right through me? Someone other than Nagomi had seen through my poker face?
わかるよ、そんなの。私の兄への愛をなめないで。私が言ったよ、お兄ちゃんと何年一緒に暮らしていると思ってるの？っていうか、妹にまでポーカーフェイスはやめてよ。
You probably also shouldn't use the word love, especially when you know what he's seen. Ritsu puffed up her cheeks. She had easily parried my psychological warfare techniques that I excelled at. A little sister's love was brutally overpowered.
もう、観念して正直に話しちゃいなさい、兄。
Got it. We're going to have this conversation shortly either way. I reluctantly raised the white flag.
うんうん。妹に隠し事はいけないよ。
Ritsu gave a few firm nods. Nagomi might
うん。
be coming to discuss whether we should live in her apartment. Ritsu stopped dead in her tracks. I followed her lead and froze in place.
どうしてそんなの絶対嫌だよ。私、これからもずっとお兄ちゃんと暮らしたい。
Yeah, but that's the problem. It's because the both of you are living alone together.
お兄ちゃんもそうでしょ
Ritsu, I recalled what I had talked with Nagomi about this afternoon. She has to move out immediately.
ええ。思った以上に親族の行動が早くて。
During my break, I carefully snuck Nagomi into the staff room so we could talk privately.
ゆうくんとりっちゃんのことを夏休み明け早々に学園に正式に報告するつもりらしいわ。
Here's the thing. Depending on what this report is about, could make or break. I can't say it makes or break the route, right? It's not gonna turn the route into a shit one because of of a nonsensical report, right? But I don't know. It's weird because if Nagomi says that her family is going to report something about is going to report you and Ritsu on something that doesn't make sense, right? Like it would be immersion breaking, I guess, in the sense that a complaint like the one they would file wouldn't do anything, right? And, you know, the Misaki family knows that that kind of report wouldn't do something, so they wouldn't report it. I mean, okay, look, maybe I should just let it cook. I'm just, you know, I'm a bit worried, right? I'm a bit worried. What will happen to us once they do? We may not be blood related, but we're still siblings. We had worked so hard to get this far. There was no reason for anyone else to find fault with us.
それで何か処分されるとか、そんなことはないわ。新学園長として、そこは保証できるの。私が心配してるのは、あなたたちがどんな目で見られるかってことよ。そういう話は絶対に学園で噂になるわ。人間はそういうゴシップが大好きな生き物だから。
I mean, here's the thing, right? This sort of report toes a fine line, and I didn't bring it up that much the first time she brought it up, and how, you know, there shouldn't be a problem with a brother and sister living together alone, right? Who in their right mind would jump to the conclusion that, oh, the reason these two are living alone together isn't because their parents have ditched them and now they're forced to, you know, and now they only have each other left, right? It's clearly because they're trying to get together. They're actually in love with each other, or on those lines, right? And I mean, there are people like that, but I don't know. Is it my lack of life experience that makes me unable to see why something like that would work, right? A report like that would work, or yeah, be effective. I don't know. I'm fine with that. I hadn't done anything wrong. Not a damn thing. There was nothing for anyone to criticize me for behind my back.
そうね。ゆうくんはそう言うと思ったわ。でもね、りっちゃんは女の子なのよ。ゆうくんとは違うでしょ。
I want to live together. I don't even want to consider a household without you in it, Ritsu.
だったら
But I don't want you to get hurt either.
だ いうこと？
Hypothetically speaking, what's going to happen if word got out that we're not blood related? Yeah, but that's the thing, right? That's the fine line. It's like, so what if they're not blood related? Aren't they still step siblings? Right? Like, not everyone is fucking terminally online and thinks that thinks that a stepsister and stepbrother will always end up together if they're if they live alone in the same house, right? I don't know. Everyone around campus would find out that we've been living alone together. I'm a guy, so I would still be fine. But when I think about the possibility of you being bullied for it, I couldn't help but worry.
そんな、待ってよ、お兄ちゃん。
Listen, all I'm saying is that I need another well-constructed comment to help me understand what I'm missing. You know? It would the joke would help better if I remembered the name of the commenter. But you know who you are.
じゃあ、私になごみさんのマンションに行った方がいいって言うの？お兄ちゃんと離れろって言うの？
Ritsu latched onto my shirt. She jostled me hard. Well, I couldn't answer. Deep down, I truly wanted to be with Ritsu, but I didn't want to get her. Didn't want her to get hurt. I didn't know what to do.
お兄ちゃん。お兄ちゃん。
Ritsu buried her face in my chest and began to cry.
お兄ちゃん。私を離しちゃやだよ。ずっとそばにいて
よ。Ritsu. I held Ritsu in my arms as she cried, her small frail body as tightly as I could. It was in that moment that my stepfather's face, in his final moments, came to mind, and a piercing pain rushed through my chest. I'm sorry. I apologized. Why did I apologize? Who was that apology meant for? I wasn't even entirely sure. I simply begged for forgiveness. Right. I made that spur-of-the-moment decision when she entered the living room. Ritsu and I were going to continue living together.
お兄ちゃんとこのまま一緒にいさせてください。お願いします。なごみさん。
Ritsu was seated beside me and bowed her head as well. I did as she had. Both of us siblings pleaded with my aunt.
りっちゃんがそういうのは予想してたわ。だから先にゆうくんにだけ話したのに。ゆうくんならりっちゃんのために別居を選ぶと思っていたわ。
Nagome sighed. She apparently hadn't considered the possibility that I would choose to live together. Listen, when you have your crying sister's face in your memory, sure, you wouldn't want to move either.
りっちゃん、あなたたちが仲のいい兄弟なのは私は知ってるわ。たとえ血がつながってなくても、私個人としては同居してもいいと思ってる。
Okay, here's the other thing, right? It's like, why is it fine for step siblings to live together if there is not both parents, right? Only a single parent, right? Why is it fine if there is a, let's just say, guardian, right, living with the two step siblings, but you remove that guardian and apparently it's a big deal now, right?
でも、世間はそうは見てくれないのも事実なのよ。悪いことは言わないから、私のところに。
私は誰に何を言われたって平気です。
Ritsu interrupted my aunt, stood up and shouted.
私もお兄ちゃんも何も悪いことなんてしてません。
Like, here's the thing. If this was an established rule in this world, it would be fine, right? But, you know, it'd be kind of hard to implement, be like, how would you be able to establish that the idea of two siblings living alone together is shunned in society, I guess? Because, you know, in reality, I don't see this playing out. Right? That's why I'm trying to imagine that if they, you know, they implement something in this world that is a bit different from our world, right? But it makes total sense in their world of like, okay, step siblings living together alone is like totally no, right? Something they'll eventually get together or whatever, right? And that's, you know, you can't have that. All right. How solid of a rule that would be is dependent on how good of the writer who decides to implement that rule into the story is. But you know, maybe it's my Western perspective, right? I know a lot about Japan. I don't know everything about it. So maybe, you know, something Japan doesn't see it the same way as I do. Right? It's weird, right? It's weird that it's a problem. Yeah.
なのに、どうして私たちが我慢しないといけないんですか?
Can you notice that I'm trying to give this? Can you notice how much of a benefit of the doubt I'm giving this route compared to any other route? because this has been such a solid route that I'm like, there is this big blunder that sort of acts like the catalyst for everything bad that's happening. That it's like, if this point is not solid enough, then I mean, yeah, it I guess it kind of would ruin the route, because the foundation of everything that because the foundation of all of the conflicts that happen in this route is so weak that everything that was built above it just falls to pieces. Right? I don't know if I'm describing this correctly. If I'm saying it in the right way, but you understand my point, right?
絶対嫌です。
She had absolutely no qualms with dealing with Nagomi. Far from it. She actually seemed aggressive towards her. I had never seen Ritsu act like this before. Ritsu, don't get worked up. Nagomi is saying this because she cares about you. For now, take a seat. I grabbed Ritsu's arm and pulled her back.
だけどお兄ちゃん。
Please. Ritsu sat back down, albeit reluctantly. I never imagined a time when I would be the one trying to calm Ritsu down. This was totally backwards from how it was before. Well, before you thought Nagomi was the bad guy, but now you but now you know she isn't, so, you know, you're more calm around her.
りっちゃんの覚悟は分かったわ。私が思ってたより、りっちゃんは強い女の子だったみたいね。
It also doesn't help that Ritsu has fallen more in love with you. So, like, you know.
あの泣き虫だったりっちゃんがね。驚いたわ。
Nagomi smiled wryly.
じゃあ、
ごめんね。まだ話の続きがあるの。
Is there something else?
あるわ。もし仮に二人の関係が公になったとしても、二人は世間の偏見にも負けず暮らし続ける。そうよね。
Yes. I don't know what I'm not getting here. Right? Is it the fact that I haven't been given enough information to explain why this is a problem? Or will that information never be given to me? So I will always think that this isn't a problem. Because this is only seen as a problem in the culture this game it's only perceived as a problem in Japan, where I can't see it. I mean, I've said that already, but, you know, hammering my point, I guess.
絶対に私は負けません。
その先はどうするの？
Nagomi pitted our siblings with an intense gaze.
二人もいずれ学園を卒業すれば、進学就職と人生はどんどん前に進んでいく。やがて、ゆうくんにもりっちゃんにも恋人ができるでしょ。その時、恋人になんて説明するつもりなの？血のつながっていない異性とずっと同居してたって正直に言える？ずっと隠し通すことなんて無理なのよ。
But that's the thing, right? From the sounds of it, they're very heavily basing the fact that they aren't blood related as the reason why people would have a problem with this. But that's not the case. There's a reason there's a reason they're step siblings, right? Because they have the same mum. So, while, you know, they aren't related by blood, it doesn't change the fact that they still are related in some way. Right? Or am I missing something here? With that, Nagomi took a sip of the tea Ritsu had prepared. Ritsu and I fell silent. This really had gone exactly how I had pictured it. Nagomi had shifted focus on our futures. Now, Tono, this was the time to speak up. Nagomi, I readied myself and was about to get the conversation rolling when my sister quietly rose to her feet.
なごみさん。いえ、なごみお姉ちゃん。お兄ちゃんを私にください。
Should we really shift the mood into a more comedic one? God damn it. She spoke up before I could.
りっちゃん、何言って。
Nagomi spat out her tea and went into a coughing fit.
絶対に幸せにしてみせますから。
I mean, like, I get where she's coming from, because it's like, okay, Nagomi has brought up the point that, you know, it'd be weird to explain to your future partners that you lived with your step-sibling alone together. but like, and like, you know, in Ritsu's mind is like, well, that wouldn't be a problem if my future partner is you. But that's the that's the problem, Ritsu. You're you're validating her point by saying this, right? If the thing, if you're trying to prove that step siblings living alone together wouldn't fall in love, right? That wouldn't make sense. And I understand that in the context of this route, they are the Masaki family is 100% in the right in thinking that Ritsu and you are gonna fall in love with each other. In the general context, yeah, I guess, you know, who in their right mind would think Ritsu and you would be together, would end up together just because they're step siblings living alone together? I've said together too many times. But the fact that Ritsu is saying this is validating that point, right? You're turning the rumors into the truth. Ritsu decisively prostrated herself on the spot.
待って、リッチャやめて。ちょっとユウくん、どうなってるのよ。
Nagami was immensely confused. I never imagined I'd ever see that sort of look on her face. It was a super rare sight.
おいごさんを、どうか私のお婿さんに。
You know, while the plan isn't good, the plan is fucking, the plan is shit, right? Because in who in their right mind would allow step siblings to date each other? But this is great for the route. I don't know how to describe it, but I am loving this. Not because of how comedic it is, but because of how hell-bent Ritsu is on dating you, where she is begging Nagomi to give her blessing, right?
ふつつかものですが、家事は何でもできるつもりです。
Ritsu made even more rapid-fire declarations while still kneeling before her.
リッちゃん、お願いだから頭を上げて。
嫌です。ユウさんをいただけるまではあげません。
Ritsu slowly crawled toward Nagomi while maintaining her submissive stance. Nagomi's expression tightened the closer Ritsu got. Of all people, Ritsu was putting pressure on Nagomi.
ユウくん、見てないで助けて。
She finally requested my help. I was actually thinking the same thing. I stood up and prostrated myself on the spot with her. Nagomi, I love Ritsu. I love her not as a sister, but as a woman. Please let me marry her. We pleaded with my aunt with a tone of family double prostration. The signature move, apparently. And truthfully, I hadn't expected my sister to say it first.
なぐみお姉ちゃん、お願いです。
Not definitely a unique confession. You know, let's just say that. My sister nimbly crawled forward and grabbed Nagomi's foot.
リッちゃん、え？くそ
お願いします。こちょこちょこちょ。
リッちゃん、それは卑怯よ。
Ritsu tickled the bottom of Nagomi's feet. She tried to get away, but Ritsu had a firm grasp of her ankle and wouldn't let go.
なごみさんの弱いところはここだよ。
りっちゃんもうやめて。ダメ、苦しい。
ねえ、お兄ちゃんをくれるまでやめないもん。
そんなだだっこみたいな。こらもう。わかったわ。私の負けよ。
Nagomi laughed as she put her hand on top of Ritsu's head. Ritsu looked up with Nagomi's ankle still in her grasp.
自分で言い出したんでしょ。私の大事な甥っ子をよろしくね、りっちゃん。
Nagomi gently petted Ritsu's head.
ありがとうございます。
Ritsu threw her hands around Nagomi and cried.
泣かないの。もう弱虫のりっちゃんじゃないんでしょ。
だけど、嬉しくて。
しょうがないわね。
Nagomi rubbed Ritsu's back and smiled. This took me back. Get it? Never mind. Back in the old days, we both used to have Nagomi console us like this. She had filled in the gaps left behind by her parents. Well, yeah, because she was the only adult around. I felt the corners of my eyes getting hot.
ゆうくん、
Yes.
りっちゃんのことお願いね。
Yes. Understood.
何かあったら相談しなさい。お金のことでも何でも。もうあなただけの問題じゃないんだから。
Yes. Thank you very much.
祝福するわ。よかったわね、りっちゃん、ゆうくん。
Ritsu wailed and clung to Nagomi. My vision distorted, but I somehow managed to hold back the tears. I couldn't afford to cry. I was going to take responsibility for Ritsu's life as long as I lived.
ああ、それにしてもショックよ。まさかりっちゃんに先を越されるなんてね。